I'm Diana Dorsey, owner of Simply Elegant by Diana. I'm super excited to be connecting with Ivette from Ivette West Photography. We're going to get to know her a little better and who she is as a person and what she does. She's going to be providing us with some tips. Hi, Ivette.
Hey, Diana.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Ivette with Ivette West Photography, and I specialize mainly in weddings.
Ivette, how did you get started in the photography business?
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story. My husband, after we got married, he said to find a hobby. So I started listening to some podcasts and Audible books to figure out what it is that I like to do. And I thought about my childhood up to current as to what I liked, and it was photography. So I was like, well, when we got married, I loved the whole experience and my wedding photos and then my own headshots that I've gotten taken. And so I was like, I'll try out photography. So I bought a camera off Amazon and started from there, and I fell in love with it.
Wow, that's awesome. So Ivette, what kind of services do you offer?
Yeah, so I specialize in weddings. I do live in Vegas, so we do get a lot of elopements. So it's weddings and elopements.
I'm sure there's a big difference between weddings and elopements. Is there something that you like from each event more than the other?
Yeah, so weddings I love because I get to see more of the family and friends involved because they are usually a lot bigger than elopements, and I do like that fast paced. And as far as elopements, I also like that because I get more involved and more time with the couple rather than weddings. It's a different kind of timeline than as an elopement is.
That's very, very true. So what do you love about the wedding industry?
I do have a background in the food and restaurant hotel industry. So it does remind me of that industry and with wedding industry as far as it's fast paced. So you need a lot of patience, and I am a very patient person. I like the fact that you have to think on your feet very quick. Things happen during a wedding that you need to be ready for. And it's like an adrenaline, basically. And I love it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. In fact, before I started my business, I took an internship in a catering company just to learn that aspect of it because I think it's super important. So you bring up a great point. What expectations do you have from a wedding planner or a coordinator?
Great communication and a team player.
So do you find that when a planner reaches out to you prior to the wedding day to kind of touch bases on a timeline, or how many vendor meals do you need, and do they reach out?
Yes, I've had it mixed both ways to where they don't. So I immediately ask if they have a coordinator and what's their information. And so it's been both ways to where either the coordinator gets in contact with me first or vice versa to where I contact coordinator. The whole main goal is to give the couple a great experience. So everyone has to be involved in order to create that.
Right. And so even the day of the wedding, how can a coordinator better support you?
From experiences, what I've noticed, the great coordinators are going to be great at communicating with not just the photographer for us, but also with the rest of the vendors, even prior to the date, rather than on the spot and hey, oh yeah, I forgot about something to tell you.
Ivette, I'm curious to know, do you get to eat the day of the wedding?
I've had it to where I did not. I just took out a bar, just stuffed it in my mouth, and there was a coordinator, and she was not great. She was not good at all, and there were a couple other issues that were involved, and that I think that's why I know for sure it's important for people to get a great coordinator who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. That's definitely important, especially when it comes to the timeline and if there's things that need to be adjusted because we're running, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes behind or things like that. But definitely communication is key and making sure that you eat because you can't be working 10 hours or 12 hours on an empty stomach.
I have a fast metabolism, so I always carry snacks no matter what.
Yeah. So one of the things I do to make sure that everything is lined up for everyone and everyone has the same info is the timeline that my couples and I build. I share it with everyone. So all the vendors have access to it, and I take everyone's timeline and incorporate it to that big timeline. And then I also make sure that on there it says vendors eat at a certain time, whatever time that is. And then of course, priority is always photography and videography, because you guys have to be ready to go for speeches and all of that. So that's very important.
I love you.
Okay, next question is, what are 3 tips you can share with our future couples based on photography?
Yes, for sure rest. I've seen people to where they, especially Vegas, like usually they want to go out and gamble and drink a lot. Plan ahead as far as like party wise, not the night before of your wedding. And yes. And another one would be any detail items. Usually I ask the couples to prepare their details in a bag and have it. Usually if they are locals and they're getting ready somewhere else at the venue, then to have their bag ready right by the door, so that way they don't forget. Like usually it's the hanger for their dress that they forget, or their garter, like small details like that. So just having it prepared the night before and just having it right by the door so you can just zoom out with it. Another one would be pamper yourself, like take the time before and just have time to yourself too.
I absolutely agree with you. I even like to encourage couples to take the week off before your wedding day. How do you manage large crowds? By that I mean like the large family photos or like large wedding parties.
I have a second photographer, and depending how large of a group is, either in the timeline too, we either split between some bridal parties, so that way the second photographer is taking some photos of them while I'm taking other photos, or I have the second photographer list out like the people that need to get ready for the next shot, so that way they're prepared, make a line basically, and make sure that everyone's there.
Have you ever had like a drunk wedding party where they were not listening? And if so, how did you manage that?
I have actually, yep. Yeah, and it's usually the groomsmen.
Yeah.
So usually I'm just very straightforward, and I just talk to them just very confident with them, and they're usually the most goofy people, and I love the groomsmen, I really do, because of that, because they're just so different. Just being able to just communicate with them like, hey guys, keep getting those shots, but let's get this picture first, and then you guys can get more shots after this, and usually like, yeah. So like, usually just feeling the energy and their personality in order to be able to better communicate with them.
Glasses or no glasses at the ceremony?
No, I always tell them to take them off.
What is the best part about your job?
Besides eating the food? I mean, that is one of them. But honestly, it's building those relationships with the couple. I love meeting people, and I love building relationships. That's something that I've always enjoyed, even with past jobs before I even did photography.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. Like, I would not take a job if it did not involve me being with another person and communicating and being involved with building relationships.
Yeah. And I can see that, because here we are, right? It's like we connected via Instagram, and then we just started having that, relationship via Instagram, and then here we are. Yvette, before we go, where can they find you?
They can find me on IvetteWest.com and on Instagram, Ivette West Photography.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for educating our future clients. Again, I'm Diana Dorsey. You can find me on Instagram at Book Simply Elegant, or on my website at booksimplyelegant.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.